Good morning, everyone. Welcome to TCA. My name's Christian.
Good morning, Christian.
Good morning,
My name is Andy.
Andy and I are coming to you live. We are live on Facebook and also on YouTube. We got the stream up here. And yeah, welcome to TCA, which stands for Tuesday's Coffee Address. We come to you every week live from Weinig HolzHer, USA, here in Mooresville, North Carolina. And so it's one of our favorite things to do every week, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, it's nice.
I get excited. I haven't been here a couple of weeks.
Yeah, so Andy hasn't been here in a couple of weeks,
back.
But it's nice to just kind of get online, interact with everybody who's watching. So if you're watching, shoot us over a comment in the feed. If you're watching on Facebook, make sure you like us on Facebook. Make sure you subscribe to our channel on YouTube as well. Those are all good things, and then you'll be made aware when we do go live. And when we post new videos, like the video that we posted just, let's see, last week we just dropped a new YouTube video on a HolzHer CNC machine. Really cool. So, but anyway, make sure you subscribe, make sure you follow us. And yeah, so Andy, what you want to tell everybody if they're tuning in new, what do we normally do on TCA?
Well, on TCA, well, first of all, we do have a couple of people watching. Got Mark Van Dyke in Chicago is watching. Dan Hirschberger is watching. So, cool.
Mark,
shout out to you guys. Thanks for tuning in. So yeah, so the TCA has actually evolved over the last year and a half, I guess. How long have we been doing this? At least a year.
We've been doing this for
more than that, because
for about a year and a half, I would say. Yeah, as Andy said, like when we first started doing it, we almost thought that was just an internal thing.
Well, right. So we were doing a lot of live demonstrations in the showroom, and we wanted to give a bit of an update of what presentations we were going to do.
Shout out to Christian Kerner coming in live from Atlanta. Yeah. Hey, Christian, thanks for watching. Sorry, Andy. Sorry to interrupt.
No problem. No problem. So we just started it out. We were talking about what we were going to show that week.
Right.
And that just kind of evolved into something else. We started talking about, a lot of our industry was curious to know what was happening in the industry. So
because no one could get out.
And not even just our industry, but the people here in the office. And a lot of our employees were watching. So it kind of became a little bit of an update. First of what demonstrations we were going to show, then to our employees as to what was going on in the industry to give everybody just an idea of what things looked like, and then it just kind of continued on from there, and it has become our platform to try to get better at streaming,
and also to interact with folks. You know, it's great to be online. You know, all of our past TCAs are archived on Facebook and YouTube. So yeah. But like Andy said, so we come to you every week live. We talk about the industry. We talk about what's going on. Andy talks about how optimistic he is about everything in life and makes everyone who's watching feel better about everything. So
and Christian is the yang to my yin.
Yeah, I guess. So now we launch into our weekly segment called "What is Andy optimistic about this week?" No, just joking. So, no, but we do try to bring you relevant industry news about the building industry, about the construction industry, and then specifically about the woodworking industry, which we're involved in, obviously, and all of you are involved in. So, Andy, what is going on in the world?
So, there's a lot. So, over the past year and a half, the housing market, which is what we're tied so closely to, has been a big topic in all of the financial news, because it was what seemed to be, it was the one sector that was driving our economy for a while, and so everyone was very interested to see what was going on. It's still certainly at the center of a lot of discussion. Things that have changed recently is that anybody that, well, all across the country, we've seen the housing prices go up because the inventory was low. People were wanting to buy houses. We talk about how everybody was trying to get out of the cities. So that just created a demand. So housing prices have gone up. You may have noticed that the housing prices are coming down a little bit, but we're talking about, 1-2%, something like that, after a huge, probably 40 to 50% kind of increase over the last year. So they're coming down a little bit. What we also saw in July was that, we were talking earlier in the year, even late last year, that we were going to see mortgage rates go up We were just happened to be talking about Christian bought a house last year today.
Yeah, actually 1 year ago.
And where the interest rates were, and the interest rates were at a really low, like a record low place, and they did go up. So we saw interest rates creep up over 3%, which is still incredibly low.
Sure.
We thought they would continue to creep up throughout the rest of the year, and maybe they will, but we did in July, we saw it come back down. So it went from 3.1 at the beginning for an average rate on a 30-year mortgage down to, we're back in the 2.8 range.
Right.
So things are going down, staying kind of steady, not really going down. But yeah, if you were thinking of getting a mortgage, this might be a good time. Of course,
cheap money.
Prices of houses are still up. They're coming down a little bit because inventory is going up.
Right.
That's what a lot of the news has been that I have been able to pull, is that the inventory is up. Multifamily houses are starting at a higher rate than single-family houses are starting.
Okay.
But here's the interesting thing. I thought it kind of tied a little bit to what we're doing, or what we're seeing in our industry, is that right now we're at an all-time high for the amount of new construction that is sitting and not completed.
Right. The WIP construction.
Yeah. So people are waiting.
Right.
You know, just like if you've tried to order machines, and maybe you if you've had a delay, it's certainly right now it's better than we were months ago, but where we were having month-long delays because of supply chain. People couldn't get components to finished components that go into machinery and things like that, and that's what we're seeing in the housing industry right now. They can't finish homes because they can't get materials.
That's right, and anyone who's familiar with especially both the commercial and the residential building process, it's all very linear, right? There's only certain things that you can do before other things. So if one blip of your supply chain can cause major disruptions and delays further down the road.
Christian is asking a question. Says, do we see Euro cabinets gaining market share over traditional? And so
that was a great question.
It's a great question.
I would like to chime in on that too. But
so we've been traveling a lot, and I really still think it's regional.
Oh, okay. All right.
I really do, because I see folks that are now some things have changed with traditional cabinets, or I guess I assume that by traditional we're meaning face frame.
Face frame. Yeah.
So we're still seeing face frame cabinets. A lot of shops are buying equipment from us for solid wood to be able to do to create face frames, to make doors, things like that. We're seeing more and more 5-piece MDF doors.
Yes.
And,
that's where
and
I
if
was
they're
gonna go
not
with
they're
that.
not
Sure.
5-piece MDF doors, then they are at least an MDF panel. That I think that kind of became the trend a few years ago, but now we're seeing more and more of that. But really, we're seeing the 5-piece MDF door now, but that can go on a face frame cabinet. So I guess it depends on your definition of traditional.
Right.
If you're just saying face frame versus frameless, if we want to get real generic with our terms, I do think that is still a little bit regional.
A regional
we're seeing
difference.
high gloss in some of the Florida seems to still be a high gloss place.
Sure. I mean, and it has been for quite some time. I think one thing about the traditional versus Euro cabinet distinction that we need to start talking about, because I think historically it has been that face frame versus frameless, but I think now it's turning into you have a Euro process and you have a face frame process, because many shops who are doing frameless cabinetry produce a finished box that's very traditional in its look, and they do so by, I don't want to say cheating the components, but they do so by very creative ways as they're constructing their doors and also their boxes. So even if you have a fully panel box, you can still make that now, especially with like I said, with the creativity that's out there in the industry, with the components that are out there in the industry, and also with the various construction methods that are out there. You can make that look like a very traditional box, and many shops are doing that right now. So if we're talking about truly solid wood face frame construction, I still see that. I don't want to say that I see that on the decline, but it hasn't gained anything, that's for sure.
Well, and when we talk about MDF doors, there's almost like a hybrid now, where we're mixing and matching materials. And before, I would like to clarify that when I mentioned regional before, I meant that it's not like we're not seeing. I think overall, when we look at the U.S. market, we're still seeing a lot of face frame and a lot of frameless cabinets, and it's different shops are seeing different waves. Like things are going one way and going the other way throughout the year, but their mix overall seems to be about the same. So where that comes into, you're talking about construction methods and things. Now we have a lot of shops that want to be able to produce either way.
Right.
Because it could even be that from customer to customer, tastes are changing.
I agree, and you do see a lot more shops that will produce a face frame cabinet when the need arises, even though that's not their bread and butter. So
you see so many of these real estate shows that are on. People have been home more, and you watch these real estate shows, and you're seeing the cabinets in these different houses, and from within one show, they might show 3 houses, and you're seeing 3 different styles of kitchens and 3 different styles of cabinets. So I think that it's becoming more. It's not what your neighbor has anymore. People are getting more exposure to more of what the market looks like.
Styles,
to various styles. So they're
truth.
choosing that because in the U.S. we don't want our house to look just like the house next door. So folks are starting to ask for different things. So the manufacturers of these cabinets need to be flexible enough to produce whatever the customer asks for.
Sure. All right. So no, good discussion point. And thanks for chiming in there, Mr. Kerner in Atlanta. So if you guys are watching, we'd be interested to know what's going on in your market. So in your market, do you see face frame cabinetry continuing, growing, or decreasing? That would be very interesting to know. So, all right. So Andy, what else is going on in the broader market that you're seeing?
You know, no matter what industry you're in, if you're in manufacturing, labor is a problem, and it continues to be a problem. We started to hear the shift probably just before we were in Las Vegas for the show, but certainly while we were in Las Vegas for the show, many of the visitors we had to our booth said that was their biggest challenge right now. It wasn't. Materials were a challenge.
Supply chain
issues are an issue. There are issues for everybody, but the biggest challenge that the visitors to our booth were saying that they were facing was labor issues, and I don't think that doesn't seem to be going away, even though the extended unemployment seems to be ending in more and more states across the country. Even though that's happening, the employees that our end users are looking for are not necessarily those folks who.
That's exactly right, and wouldn't you agree that any kind of major disruption in the labor market, as we've experienced, will, even though we may have unemployment numbers that are low, meaning that people are working, any kind of disruption like that really puts a challenge on our industry because we rely heavily on tenured employees. When it comes to manufacturing processes, understanding how to
we have held off. We've talked about this for the last year and a half for sure in different areas or different facets of what we do, but our industry has been slow to adapt or to change or to adopt new technology, whether that be automating a line or just video conferencing. Just in general, we've been more of a traditional industry.
Sure.
And so we saw that if you can read some articles about where we thought manufacturing was going to go, and specifically to the wood industry. The wood industry had expected the new term. We talk about skills gap and things like that, but the new term has been upskilling.
Right.
To get our employees skilled to a level where they can produce using more sophisticated processes. And where we are in the wood industry is that it had been predicted that over the next 20 years we were going to need to upskill our workforce to start to compete with the likes of aerospace and automotive and some of these other industries if we wanted to continue to manufacture. And what has happened now, as a result of the shutdowns with COVID, the unemployment benefits being extended, the additional unemployment benefits, all of the things that have been going on, what has happened is they say there's a real need. I've seen some articles say that the shift has gone from being a 20-year upskilling process to an immediate. Like no kind of we don't have a range of years to be able to upskill these people. We need them to be upskilled now. and that's a real challenge. It's not. I've traveled. I've been in some factories over the last few weeks, and it's hot in the summer. In these factories, it's hot, and it's dusty and it's noisy, and and it's not like other industries where you see manufacturing happening in air-conditioned rooms.
Sure.
That's not where we are right now, because we still need to bring a lot of raw materials into a bit large open doors in these factories to be able to process it. And so I don't know that we ever, until we can start storing our materials in an air-conditioned environment also, which I don't know if it will ever happen, we're going to have to now automate it to make it a little more attractive for people to come in and work in these more sophisticated systems.
Sure, absolutely.
So we got to train people to be able to do that.
Yeah. So labor continues to be a challenge in the industry, which, like Andy said, is one thing that we talk about a lot here on TCA. And anyone who knows us, as in Weinig HolzHer USA, knows that we also then kind of couple that conversation with our conversation about technology and automation, and how important that is, especially today, even more so than a year ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago. Automation here can be anywhere from actual technology within the machine, such as putting movable blades onto a ripsaw, to a full system, which includes material handling in dynamic and advanced ways, loading machinery without people involved, moving panels or moving strips of wood from one machine to another. So, I mean, there's an array of
There's from less sophisticated. Now we are looking at things that are scalable, right? So we're looking at systems where you can start out. Maybe you're automating just a certain process, but you're not automating your factory, but you can grow, you can scale that automation at different levels,
Sure.
And that's what we are seeing more and more of, is that some of these small shops are starting out slowly. However, I would say that with the current environment, where labor, even unskilled labor, there's a new premium for that unskilled labor, and it's demanding a higher rate.
Sure.
For wages, that you might want to, if you're a small shop and you thought you couldn't justify automation before, it didn't make sense because you were
you
might want to look at it again.
Going for.
You might want to look at it again, because I think that justification is now what maybe you were on the fence about a 3-year kind of payback, where now we've even got shrank to maybe a 12-month payback, to where there are instances now where I'm going into shops where they have an immediate payback.
Yeah.
Just because they can't get people to come to work. So
Sure.
if they can continue to produce their product without having to rely on figuring out how to get people to come to work, then that's a good thing.
Sure. All right, so real quick, if you're just joining us, welcome to TCA. My name's Christian, that's Andy. We're live on Facebook and also on YouTube. Make sure you follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're watching us this morning, we appreciate everybody tuning in. Every week we come to you live, Tuesdays at 9 a.m. Tuesday's coffee address is what TCA stands for. So just share a cup of coffee with you and talk about the industry. So, Andy, you've been traveling a little bit, as everybody knows, because you haven't been here in the last 2 weeks. So what are you seeing out in the field as you're visiting shops, and what are people
Everybody's
saying? Business is busy.
Business is booming. Everybody, even the smaller cabinet shops that I've been to see with it it used to be a good thing if they were booking now. We're about to go into September. If they were booking for October right now, that would be a good thing, because they had a quick turnover. A lot of these small shops that I've been seeing over the past few weeks, so all the way back to the beginning of August, they were saying that they're booked out through March. So I mean, that's a good thing. Now with too much business, you certainly have challenges. There are things that come up, and it's not necessarily easier.
Sure.
It's just that we like to accomplish those. We like to overcome those challenges a little more than we do the ones where we don't have enough business. So we're
That's right.
We've been fortunate. We've been blessed in this industry that we do have a lot of business.
No, we do.
But we have also, a lot of the shops that we deal with have been leaning on us to help them to produce more in the same space, or to produce the same with fewer people if they haven't been able to get those people. Now the new challenge is that the lead times are going out. I was just at a place last week where they had, it was about I want to say it was 26 weeks or so for us to get them from the time they placed the order on the machine to get this. And this was a very sophisticated, a very expensive system. But to get it installed from order to running parts. But now that same line would maybe be a year.
Yeah.
There's some things that are getting out to, depending on how sophisticated it is and how many machines need to be built, custom and things like that, it could be a year and a half. So
now, with that said, I mean, machinery builds are not the only thing that's getting extended lead times. I mean, you're seeing our customers, the material that's running through their shops, that lead time is getting extended out as well. In fact, we were just talking about that before we went live on how so many shops are now just, now it's from a 6-week lead time. They're saying, oh, well, we're busy until, midway through next year or something like that. So that those lead times are getting extended. Andy, would you say that kind of opens the door for new manufacturers in our industry?
Yeah, well, we talked about this. One of the most surprising things that we saw from the Vegas show was that we scanned 125 companies that weren't in our database.
Yeah. That's right.
So there are new companies that are starting up. So absolutely there is a place for it. Now, and interestingly enough, I don't know if it's coincidence over the last few weeks or what, but I've been going to a lot of the closet franchises, and there are new closet franchises that are starting up, and
closet is a big business right now.
It's a big business right now.
Big
I'm seeing
business.
more and more of that. The closet shops that it used to be if they were manufacturing, they were manufacturing in a very small space.
Sure.
I went into a place where they've got 12,000 square feet now, and they're busting at the seams, and they need more space, and he's looking for 25,000 square foot buildings, and closets are becoming bigger business.
Yep. Closet, big business right now. The whole closet industry is fascinating. If you're not in it, I would say it's almost like a hybrid of the cabinet industry. It's different in many ways. It's the same in some ways, but maybe we'll talk more about that in a future TSA.
I'm hearing some different kind of similar, but I think it's hitting the closet industry pretty hard right now in the hardware side of things.
Yeah, sure.
Because closets, they buy a lot of drawer slides, things like that. Where in your cabinet industry, maybe it's a little different of what you're buying, but the volume, they have to have higher volume in the closet industry, and it's a lot of the same stuff over and over. And
it's very standardized.
They've had to shift. They've had to pivot to new suppliers because they can't. That's one of the things we talked about weeks ago, was that lumber prices were coming down, but steel prices, and what was the other? Steel, and there were a couple of other things.
Other raw materials that were still going up. Yeah,
they're still going up.
Absolutely.
And concrete was one of them. So if you're in the concrete industry, your prices are going up. If you're anything that you're buying steel for, and a lot of these slides, they're all from steel. And so not only is it more expensive, but it's hard to get. They're having to, and so some of the closet franchises are really having to. It's not you just call your local supplier that you've been calling forever, and they've got it. Now they have to have 3 different companies that I went into one place, and this was a cabinet place, but he had every hardware manufacturer you could think of. He had a display in his showroom, and I guess he's probably just weighing it out, because a lot of stuff looks the same.
Well, don't tell the hardware guys that.
Yeah.
Terrible. It'd be like them saying that all edge banders do the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So Andy didn't mean that for everyone. So anyway, so it's definitely a fascinating time out there in the market right now. So Andy, let's we'll kind of transition into more about what's going on with us for everybody watching out there. Again, you're watching TCA. My name's Christian. This is Andy. We come to you live every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. from Weinig HolzHer USA on Facebook and on YouTube. You can follow us there. So we have some, I know for the last couple weeks I've done this, but I want to do just a kind of a quick highlight rundown of what we have in store in the next couple months, because we have some really
lot of stuff going on.
We have some really cool events. I'm actually going to bring up my calendar just so I don't want to get any of these dates wrong. So next month, actually, which is September, I guess.
Tomorrow starts.
Yeah,
September.
tomorrow starts September.
It is still considered next month.
Yeah, so in September, the first thing I wanted to say was September 22nd and 23rd. That's a Wednesday, Thursday. In Anaheim, California, we have an open house at Expo West. Yeah, you want to tell everybody what Expo West is?
Expo West is our West Coast Exhibition Center.
Yeah,
right?
that's
so
right.
That's why the term Expo West comes from. We're right in Anaheim. Beautiful building. 20 minutes from Disney, if that matters. And we'll be there with machines running. We have a working showroom there, and we'll be ready to show off the technology there in September.
That's right. So that's September 22nd and 23rd. Now, in addition to that 2-day window, we will then open the showroom back up in November for an additional open house, and that is November 16th and 17th. So that's so again, that's the that's the third week of November, and that's going to be a great time too. We'll be making sawdust, running our machines.
This is exciting because we haven't done anything out there in a while. We stopped through there when we did our retool tour last summer,
right?
But there weren't a lot of
quiet.
people. It's been quiet. California, everybody had different levels of shutdown. There were a lot of people in California, and so the shutdowns were a little more restrictive. I mean, it lasted longer.
Sure.
And they've started to, as more people have gotten vaccinated, they're opening up more and more. So this should be a nice event.
Yeah. So anyone watching who's out on the West Coast, specifically in Southern California, check out Expo West. Go to the first open house. It's coming up. It's only in about 3 weeks, September 22nd, 23rd, out there. I'll put a link in the comments for registration. So speaking of registration is also open for our open house here in Mooresville, North Carolina. That's our annual open house. We're doing it the last Thursday, Friday in October. And since we're doing it in October and we just happen to be a German company, why not embrace Oktoberfest fully?
Right.
And that's what we're doing. So last week of October, Thursday, Friday, that's the 28th, 29th, I want to say. I just want to make sure. Yep, right. 28th, 29th of October, we're having Oktoberfest here in our showroom. As you can see right behind us, we're going to be decked out. All kinds of German fare and the latest and greatest technology that we have to offer. Our showroom will be hopping. I think we already have about 50 people registered to come. It's still pretty early, so we're expecting quite a bit more than that. But that's basically to say that if you'd like to attend Oktoberfest, please register. It's very important that you register so we know how many people to expect. Obviously, we have safety in mind, and so we want to know who's coming.
Right.
We have protocols. We want to reach out to you prior to coming, just to go through our safety protocols.
Yeah, I mean, we're
just
still.
to keep everybody safe.
We're almost 60 days away from that happening, right? So a lot could change over the next day. So as we get closer, we'll make some announcements about what to expect when you come in the building.
Yep.
Again, with safety in mind for our guests and employees alike.
But it's very important to pre-register for that event for Oktoberfest. So so speaking of Oktoberfest, Andy, you want to tell everyone kind of give a couple highlights of the technology that we're going to be showing off in our showroom.
Well, so we're having a bit of a turnover in our showroom. We're bringing in a lot of equipment. If you were at the Las Vegas show, which the attendance was down, it was still a really good show for us.
Sure.
But if you haven't seen technology from Weinig in a couple of years, maybe you're gonna see things. The P50 was incredibly popular at the show. The Cube. We have a new CNC on the Holzer side, the Epicon.
The Epicon, very cool.
We're hoping to have the new 12-foot beam saw in the showroom.
Yep.
We have new edge bander technology, new controls on the Streamer series machines. We're going to have a new Stormmaster in the hall here. Of course, the H3000 has been a very successful launch of a new product that has happened in the last couple of years.
Right.
We're going to have Ripsaw technology. We have the new S50 Plus. We talked a lot about the S50 Plus that was going to be at the Las Vegas show. It's actually here. So we know we don't have to wait on it. We know it's going to be here because it's already in the showroom. It's getting hooked up this week, so so we'll have that to show off. We have there's a lot of stuff happening.
For those of you who were not able to visit us at the Las Vegas show, come to Oktoberfest. You'll see a lot of the technology that was there, a lot of the new technology, as Andy mentioned. But one thing I also wanted to give a quick shout out, both in Vegas and at Oktoberfest, we will also be showing off the new Shoda router.
Yeah.
Right. So Shoda is a CNC router company that we partner with, that we supply here in North America. Great company, excellent router.
Yeah, we kind of launched that kind of
About
sort
a year
of
ago.
At the Retool Tour.
Yeah, about
we showed the first
about a
demos,
year ago. So it's so that's if you weren't able to see it in person in Vegas, come by Oktoberfest. We'll be running it then too. It's a dual table router, really cool. And they in Vegas, we were making some very cool MDF panels on that, and so maybe we'll be running that same application. Maybe maybe the technicians have something new up their sleeve, so we'll see.
Mike Sigmund, no, we don't want Christian Kerner to wear lederhosen. It's going to be Oktoberfest will be a good time. We also have quite a few association meetings that Weinig is participating in this year. I'm not going to ramble off alphabet soup and go through every single association that a lot of them. So, I mean,
event.
the good news is the industry is, again, week to week, we're hearing new news as far as
we're coming back out. We're
safety
coming back out
stuff and things, but we're coming back out. So a lot of the industry, a lot of the associations who have not been meeting are having their annual meetings between now and the end of the year.
Yeah.
So that's creating quite the busy schedule for us. We're going to different events. We're trying to be at as many of these events as we can be.
That's right.
We certainly are behind this industry. Obviously, we're tied to it, but we want to support it at every level. So we're going to be at all those events.
Oh, 100%. So what we'll do is we'll put some more links in the comments of this video on some more of the events that we are supporting, that we're participating in. Once we finish live streaming. So yeah, all right, Andy. Well, so that was our TCA.
It's a little long today.
It was a little long
today. We have to
today.
finish up with a couple of things. I saw some comments referring to it being windy in certain parts of the country and things. There is a storm that's coming through. We trust that everyone is doing all that they can do to remain safe through that, so we can get through this again. It's not something that's new to have hurricanes come into the U.S. in the fall or late summer. So we want to make sure that everyone is staying safe.
Yep, absolutely. So again, thank you for watching this week. My name's Christian. This is Andy, and this is TCA. Thanks for joining us, and come back and see us a week from today.